Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Kaja May, and welcome to the second episode of the Growing the Game podcast. Today, I'm joined by Alyssa Houde to discuss how the NHL should focus on marketing to younger generations in order to grow the game. Hope you enjoy. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our guest today. Today, we have Alyssa Houde of the Can't Teach Size podcast, as well as Game Over Winnipeg. Hello.
Hi, thank you so much for having me on. I'm really excited to be here.
Excited to have you as well. So we are both young people, as you
I
can
would say
see.
so. I
I
would
would say,
agree. Yeah.
yeah. The younger generations. And we're here to discuss why the NHL should kind of market more towards a younger age group than what they have done currently and in the past. Um, So I kind of want to start off with social media because obviously both you and I use social media quite often. You know, you have like your TikTok stuff and how there's like the different teams also have the TikTok accounts and they try and make like engaging stuff like the Bruins with Brad Marchand doing voiceovers all the time.
Oh my
Um
God.
that's that's certainly a thing. Then they also have like the Twitter accounts and stuff like that. Um, and then mascot accounts. I kind of want to touch on the TikTok portion for a bit, if just in case you want to talk about your Chell Chit Chat series.
Oh yeah, sure. So yeah, growing the game obviously is a huge piece of what both you and I are super interested in. So yeah, as Kai mentioned, like I have a TikTok account for my podcast that I do with my Game Over Winnipeg co-host Brady, which is called Can't Teach Size. But the TikTok is just more for general engagement with the hockey audience. And so I do this series once a week called Chell Chit Chat, where basically I sit down and I do like a get ready with me, like, like one of those crazy big influencers, except I use drugstore products and I don't know how to do makeup properly. But while I'm doing that, I explain some form of rule or circumstance in hockey, just because I find that so often hockey fans can be very gatekeepy about their sport. Because I find that a lot of us grew up watching hockey and know a lot about hockey and have from a very young age. So whenever you meet fellow Canadians or even people who are new to the country or just have no interest in hockey whatsoever and they ask a question about it, a lot of people just have that very nose turned up-ish, how do you not know that? Why do you not know that? And if the person doesn't know, then they shouldn't need to know, sort of thing. And I think that that's a really bad attitude to have. So a lot of people are really scared to ask questions. So I'm not asking people to ask me questions. They can, of course, if they want, and then I'll make a video on it for sure. But I'm just explaining because someone might want that explanation, but they might be a little bit too worried to ask because they've been ridiculed in the past for asking questions that other people just knew. So that's what I do once a week. It's usually one of those 3 minute videos and talk about, offsides or goalie interference or different kinds of penalties or the trade deadline, just different things like that, trying to give a general explanation and try and lower those barriers to entry if people are interested in hockey, but have been kind of judged for not knowing enough or being a fan who doesn't know enough, which is a ridiculous thing to say to someone that they
Yeah.
don't know enough to be a fan. But that's besides the point.
Mhm, mhm. It kind of relates to like the whole oh you wear a band t-shirt and then everyone's just like oh name like five songs by that band. It's just like oh
Exactly.
you like hockey, what's goalie interference? Dude, the refs don't even know. So
Exactly.
yeah, I say TikTok is definitely an aspect of how the sport has kind of reached a lot of people. Especially I felt like the kind of relatability with what you do with Chell Chit Chats is kind of just like the get ready with me can also fit into a lot of different niches as well. So you might reach somebody who doesn't really who may be a little bit interested in hockey, but like just kind of like about it, and then they learn a new fun fact about it, and then it's like in your head and stuff like that.
Totally.
Uh, yeah, I think a lot of the teams have sort of comedic TikToks. I don't know, there's that one where the Canucks tried that like Material Girl filter, but they put it obviously on Quinn Hughes, and everyone knew it was Quinn Hughes, but they told us to guess who it was, and then there was another one where they obviously put it on Tyler Myers. I just feel like, okay, maybe it's not obvious, but like you could tell by the size of
Yeah,
the
no,
filter maybe,
totally.
or like how he walks. And then they also have like the did you know blah blah blah. facts. I think they did one. Did you know about the Luongo bathroom incident? Um,
Oh, classic, a
Classic.
classic.
Which I feel like those videos also gain a lot of traction from what I've seen.
Totally.
Like the short form informative, and especially the ones that loop back around, because then it kind of gives like the finishing thing. I don't know.
Definitely.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's what okay, there's this like random baseball team in the States and it's not an MLB team. It's like a not even it's not college, I don't know what it is, but they
The
have they're
bananas?
like the bananas, right? So it's like that social media aspect of making a team very personal and stuff like that. I don't like baseball. I'm not super into baseball, but every time that team has a TikTok come up my For You page, I watch it because they're so
Hmm.
funny. And it's like they're like with a lot of the TikToks, like I know the Jets TikTok, what they'll do is they're very much like a they write a question on a whiteboard and bring out the little mic before practices and do you know those typical things and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you saw in the last couple of days, it might have even just been yesterday, with the Calgary Flames. They made a TikTok with Bella. Do you know Bella? She's on TikTok. She is 9, and I don't remember. She has some form of illness, and she and her mom have a TikTok account with millions of followers, and they're from somewhere in Saskatchewan, and they're big advocates for the Ronald McDonald House and stuff like that. And so it was the Zoolander, the watch it, bruh, and then the I'm not sure,
Oh,
bruh, whatever. So they did it with
yeah.
her, and it was really cute. And it's like that's a
Oh.
like it was super fun, and it's like that interaction is awesome, and it's like that it's a little fun TikTok with a girl from Saskatchewan who, if she's a girl from Saskatchewan, I bet you she watches hockey. So it was really cute and it was really fun. And it was like, wow, this is such a great tool to kind of that flip flop. Like, yeah, Bella has an awesome audience, so maybe some of them will be more interested in hockey, but also more importantly, the Calgary Flames have a ton of followers on TikTok, so then they'll learn a little bit more about Bella's story and her journey with Ronald McDonald House and stuff like that. There's just like a lot of really cool ways to just kind of gain reach and cross that reach in so many different ways on TikTok.
Yeah, especially yeah, with like the whole collabs thing. I know I'm gonna keep bringing it back to the Canucks because like I have like so many points of reference for them, but they tried last year with Baby No Money. Do you know who that is? You
I don't
probably
think I do.
he
Maybe.
he's like a kind of rapper dude, but he's also kind of a internet personality of sorts. I don't know. I think he's from the Vancouver area, and like they had him perform at one game. For some reason, it was also live streamed on TikTok. I'm like,
Cool.
okay, that kind of makes sense. They've posted stuff about the TikToker Call Me Chris being there because she's also a Canucks fan, I think.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That's an awesome TikTok person to grab.
yeah. Like I don't know much about her. I don't personally I just use TikTok, and then when I go on TikTok it's just all the Pedro Pascal edits. Which like that's valid also. But yeah. Calgary also has a good social media presence on Twitter. I'd say in my personal opinion, because I follow a few teams and I specifically have just Vancouver, Toronto, New York, and Rangers and Calgary on notifications. And for Calgary, it's mostly because they have that interaction with the fans. Like they responded to one of my tweets once, and like this was a year ago, over a year ago, because like I asked about whose jersey I should get, and they were like, "Oh, get both, obviously." Um, but yeah,
No,
so
but that level of personal interaction is so important for fans, like especially on things like Twitter and TikTok. Like the Winnipeg Jets have more TikTok followers than I think quite a few NHL teams, and also more like the ratio of their TikTok followers compared to their other social medias is pretty high. And their literal bio is like it's something about basically how much they reply. And that replying thing, because basically it's like CEO of do they answer or whatever like that, because people are always like, do the Jets respond, or
mhm,
yeah, of
yeah,
responding to TikTok comments or whatever. And so they interact with a ton of fans through TikTok comment responses. But you think about it, you can at least back us maybe when we were a bit younger, especially like I can remember every single time an NHL team or some of those NHL players or whatever interacted with my tweet questions or anything like that. Like you remember that, and that's important to you. So like, what could be 30 seconds of Katie, the social media admin, just answering a quick question could be like huge for some, kid on TikTok who follows the Jets and stuff like that. So that level of interaction feels so much more personal. And it's a really good retention strategy for making sure that teams are keeping their fans engaged in the content that they're posting.
yeah. I also think that like the comedic side, I like to dunk on like corporation media, or not corporation media, but like when like the whole Wendy's, they try and be
Oh yeah,
funny
yeah,
and
yeah.
all that stuff. Like it's still like a multi-billion dollar company, I guess. But then I feel like I kind of let that slide with NHL teams. Like especially Anaheim and LA were beefing the other day. Did you
Hmm.
see that? Like
Yeah,
with
yeah. I think I've ever seen that because people were like, "Wait, what's going on?"
yeah, because Phoenix Copley was pushed away from a
Yes,
fight with Gibson of the
that's
Anaheim
right.
Ducks, and then Arizona Anaheim tweeted something like Phoenix Copley don't want the smoke, and then LA was just like he has more wins than you do this year. So
That's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was
yeah,
yeah, and see, and I love that kind of stuff because again, like you said, it's corporation, but like it's a bit different to me because Wendy's doesn't have fans, they have consumers. And there's a
mm,
little bit of a difference between a fan and a consumer. Like a lot of fans are consumers for NHL teams, but a lot of what they have to do on social media is to generate that fandom and then convert it into consumerism. Whereas there is really isn't that fandom stage for those corporate accounts. Like they
yeah,
just want consumers through that interaction. So they're doing it in a weird way. But like that fan like piece is so huge. So like stuff like that, it's like, and again, like I probably could tell you three things that have happened with the LA Kings this year. One of them being that they maybe almost got chikrin for 5 seconds. Like but that like that interaction all of a sudden it's on everyone's social media feed and people are talking about it and it's like that's the kind of stuff that it's important. And yes, I'm not the person that they're looking to convert because I already am a hockey fan, but that the more engagement you can get, like more clicks never hurts if you're looking for a wider reach.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, especially also when they bring the mascots into it. Because I know Gritty is like a meme on his own, and then people are like, "Oh, what do you mean he's like a mascot for a hockey team?" Like people love Gritty for some reason. And then
No,
now
yeah, for sure.
Bowie, who um is modeled after an anti-homeless architecture troll, but yeah,
Didn't
there's
know
a
that.
there's a statue under a bridge that was built so homeless people wouldn't sleep there in Seattle, and that's who Bowie is modeled after, apparently.
Awesome, great.
Yeah.
It's
hmm
a story for another time, but anti-homelessness architecture is the worst thing
Yep.
in probably the world, so yay, great. Anyways,
Gotta love the city of Seattle.
not the downer on the podcast.
I know. But also Bowie, like aside from the fact that where he comes from is the accounts just going after fans, especially that one where he called the girl, like he said he modeled his hair after like some fan's hair because the fan, I don't know. I feel like the sort of roast portion of that increases the fan, like the mascot um recognition,
Totally, yeah. Well, that's why
recognizability.
Gritty became, like you said, lots of people don't even know that Gritty is an NHL team mascot because he's just so weird. But a lot of that comes from that trolling behavior of just the like being a weirdo, and that interaction is just so huge. So yeah, like 100%. And like Seattle, it's the kind of thing. What's so interesting to me is since they're a brand new team, they're coming in, they're like, we can do all of these brand new strategies. And they're like, yeah, you definitely can. But I just don't understand why other existing teams don't understand that they can also create that brand new strategy. Yes, your team has existed, but you don't have to stick status quo on everything that you're doing and like taking those small steps into it's like, oh, TikTok is a thing. I guess we'll make an account and all that kind of stuff. It's like, no, take the leap. Do like you have a marketing team for a reason. They know what's trending right now. They know where the consumerism, right? Because a lot of people think that TikTok and advertising, whatever, like for marketing, it's all about advertising, but it's like it's a 5 step process, right? There's the awareness and then the consideration and conversion that you have to go through all of those stages, right? So making sure that they're not just getting the awareness out there, but how are they going to encourage people to consider going to a game or to consider buying a jersey or to consider following the account and then furthering that relationship that they build in order to develop them into a consumer, right? So it's strange to me that other teams aren't doing that more because it's the easiest and most cost effective way to do it, you know?
Yeah, that does like the social media, it does make sense. And also to kind of bring it back to the Bruins thing, because they also do a lot of videos in plain clothes, you don't necessarily recognize it as hockey players all the time. So it could just be a funny TikTok and you'll like it, and then eventually, if you like enough of their stuff, you'll probably get ads based on it. because I personally, when I'm scrolling through TikTok, I sometimes get Canucks ads, which is wild because they appear less and less on my For You page, but I still get the ads. I think it's because I have that background of course, liking Vancouver Canucks. But like when this, like you said, it's cost effective because, you know, who cares about Twitter Blue and all that? But they don't necessarily, because they're already verified through, being a notable organization, they don't really have to go through extra steps. They just have to be comedic, but also like tastefully comedic. Like
Mhm.
there's that one Devils thing where they like photoshopped over a kid's poster. Like that was not good.
That was weird. That
That
was
was
odd.
weird. Sometimes the Devils miss, but most of the time they're good. Seattle is mostly good. When they sent just their social media admin because Maddie Beniers couldn't make it to the All-Star game.
Oh
Um,
yeah, that was right. That was funny.
that was fun. And then like the admin's just like, should I go in? And yeah, there I love the Seattle Kraken admin. Minnesota needs some work. They need to stop naming things weird, I feel like.
Yeah, and again, it's the kind of thing where it's like they're such an irrelevant team in the grand scheme of things, and I feel as though I can say that because I am a Jets fan, so there's no one more irrelevant than us. And they're literally the closest thing that the Jets have to a rival, and I don't know anything about them. We don't interact with them. Like it's very like no, the Minnesota Wild is not that's not the model there. Don't follow what they're up to.
Oh yeah, no, do not. Finn, the Canucks Finn account is arguably the better account than the actual Canucks account because the Canucks account is so boring. They like at least Calgary will post when the other team scores. The Canucks don't do anything.
Oh, yikes.
It pisses me off too, and especially like when I was like working and stuff, and I didn't have like the NHL app. It takes forever to upload.
And it's not giving you everything, and you
It's
want to
not
know
giving me
everything. So
everything.
it's
Like,
yeah, they'll share if there's like a cool shot or like an almost goal or a nice save, or if there's like a fight or whatever. Like those types of things don't really come through on notifications. So it's nice to
yeah,
have the live tweeting going on. But if they're not even tweeting when the opponent scores, girl, what?
yeah. I don't know if the Rangers score, if the Rangers do that, but I think they tweet when there's a fight. Or am I th might be thinking of Calgary. I'm thinking of Calgary because I watched Calgary yesterday and I saw like the notification for the tweet for the fight come in at the same time I was like watching the fight and that was kind of cool. Um,
Totally.
yeah. I don't know. I think yeah, because they tweeted about or was there a fight yesterday in the game against the Jets?
I actually didn't watch yesterday's
Okay.
game. Yes, there
Okay.
was though. Yes, there was.
There
Yes, there
was?
was.
Okay. It might
Yeah.
have been.
Brendan Dillon got in a fight. Sam Gagne got in a
Oh,
fight. One of the two. I don't remember which one it was. One of those guys. But I think that with the media accounts and like the Brad Marchand stuff and using players, like you made a good point about like you might not necessarily know it's a hockey player. I have like a running joke with a couple of my friends. It's hilarious because like I'm a huge hockey fan. Obviously, like I have a job in hockey and I watch hockey all the time, but I don't do a lot of like extra like if I'm looking at stuff, it's usually charts. So I actually don't like if you show me a headshot of a player that's not in a jersey, usually I can't recognize who it is. I saw a picture of Mikko Rantanen the other day and I didn't know who it was. Like I'm really, really bad at recognizing hockey player faces. And it's the kind of thing where it's like that's why I love basketball. Not a fan of the basketball, like I don't watch it as much as I watch something like hockey, but it's such a personal and intimate sport because the players don't wear that equipment and the fans sit so close to the court and all those kinds of things. Hockey, it's like the camera's way up there, you're sitting way up there, and they're wearing a helmet and a visor, and you can't always see exactly what's going on. So that level of like people becoming attached to players needs to be manifested in a different way because you don't really get attached to players just watching them from the camera up top that sees them on the ice. You develop that little bit of emotional connection to them when you see like the close up of them sitting on the bench or when you see if you follow them on Instagram or you see the team posting about them and stuff like that, like or they do a special on them in the intermission. That's where that relationship with as a fan comes in with the players. Even if it is a one-sided relationship, that's how you develop that investment in them. And so that's why I feel like hockey teams need to do a better job of showing that on their social media because it's not being shown as much in their sport as something like basketball because football's the same way. You're not seeing the players when they're on the field, so it's difficult to have that. You need to really elevate that social media content for that purpose.
yeah, I totally understand that because personally as like I start following players because of what other like fans say on like social media and stuff like that. Like
Totally.
that's how I got into the Rangers. with all that stuff because everyone's just talking about Mika Zibanejad. And like I feel like the Rangers, they have like they always post like specifically Mika Zibanejad highlights where it's like, oh, it's Mika Monday or the month of or it's Mika October or something like that. They have one every single month.
As they
I
should.
swear, as they should, honestly. He's like one of my favorite players. But I feel like they don't necessarily like yeah, you said they need to market their stars better and having Connor McDavid do weird ads with Bo Horvat where there's like mini horses or something. Have you seen that?
I don't know, but I don't even want to blame the Oilers for anything. That guy just stinks. I don't know. I think you could get the best marketing minds in the world. They would struggle to make something out of that guy, but I know what you mean.
I feel like the most effect he had in media circles for something he did what happened on June 13th last summer. Um
Oh my God. We still like it still comes up on Twitter
it's
on the
still
regular.
it's
But that
still
wasn't the marketing that they wanted. For
that
those
was
of you
not
who
the
don't
marketing.
remember, it was like a video of Connor McDavid leaving a bar holding hands with a dark-haired girl when his long-term girlfriend of several years has very clearly always been a blonde. Quite funny to see
Questionable.
everyone dunk on him on the internet. People are like, maybe it's not
Questionable.
true. I'm like,
No, it
who
was
cares?
yeah, okay. Apparently it was like 2 years old or something, but like there was something other. I don't
Lauren, yeah, Lauren and Connor McDavid have been together since like he was in the World Juniors. I'm not
I
buying that.
know. I know it's so funny. One time I went back because I wanted to see if he like had cringy comments on like Instagram, before he got like media training and everything. And he has like some of the stupidest stuff like in like Lauren's comment section from like 6 years ago, and it's
Oh
hilarious.
God.
And I'm just
Ew.
like, that is well, no, it's like she posted a picture of clouds and he's like, wow, this is so deep. And I'm like, what the fuck? Just so
It's
he's a
just funny
weirdo.
though because you think about it, right? And so it's Connor McDavid. He grew up in Ontario. He's a few years older than we are, like whatever. You think about every boy that you went to school with who played hockey. Like I wouldn't follow a Twitter account that's making content about those guys. I'm not very interested in anything that they have to say. They're pretty dull, they're pretty weird. Like so I get it. Like these guys don't go into this sport because they're fun personalities, but it's like still you could try and make something out of it here. He's just got a whole lot of nothing beyond being the best player to ever play the game going on. So
Yeah, I'm that's the disappointing part is like he's the best player at this current moment, but also one of the most boring, I swear.
just yeah, and you also don't blame them too because again, hockey is such a strange sport because for us, like it's literally our lives, but
Mhm.
outside the scope of Canada, it doesn't exist to anyone else. But in here, it's the most pressuring thing that you can pretty much do in Canada. So if you grow up being the best of the best at every stage that you've ever been at, you're quite quick to sort of close yourself off because you're so subject to all this external pressure and all these external comments and all this stuff and there's so much weighing on you. So I understand wanting to play more safe than sorry, but like crack a smile, dude. Come on, like you can do it. I promise.
Yeah, I don't know. And then when Leon Draisaitl shows personality, it's him doing a slap shot in the shootout when he has not scored in the shootout this year. And I guess that's him protesting the shootout, but they lost the game. Um,
Good. It's the
yeah,
Oilers. Good.
yep,
Keep losing,
good.
girls.
Yeah. It was against the Rangers too, so yeah. But no, and then like what Mitch Marner said, like he doesn't even like check social media sometimes about what people are saying about him.
If
That's
anyone should not be checking social media, it's Mitch Marner. People are so mean to
I
him.
know.
I don't know why. He
Let
minds
him
his business and he's good at hockey. Like, what the heck?
like I don't know. Are they mad because like Matthews was injured this year and like Marner was the first vote for All-Star? I don't even know. Like personally, I really like Mitch Marner. Why do people hate him? Like what
I
is there to hate?
I feel like it's they're just mad that they have three players on their team that
Mm,
make over $10 million and they've chosen him as a scapegoat, maybe. I don't know. If you're gonna pick a scapegoat for that, I pick John Tavares. But that's a different story, I guess.
that's
I don't know. But that's all to say why are people so mean to Mitch Marner? And I think that him logging off of social media is probably one of the better ideas that he could have.
Yeah. Speaking of most boring people, John Tavares is so boring. He's interesting. Like, I don't get it. That man scares me. He scares
Yeah,
me.
no. hmm Like, do you remember that video of him? Like, they posted. I That's what I love. It's like because sometimes the NHL teams do try. Like, remember the Nashville Predators put out when Cody Glass found out that he was gonna make the team, and it was like a nice emotional video. It was cute. They made a
Mhm.
similar video when John Tavares was awarded the C, and it was like Shanahan or whoever was talking to him, and it was just like, and his wife was there and his kid was there. It was so cute, but I was like, I'm bored. John Tavares is boring.
That's the thing. I feel like if people don't have that emotional connection to a player, and I feel like John Vars was so new into the market, and considering the way he left the Islanders kind
Oh
of
God.
left a bad taste in some people's mouths, it's like people don't have that emotional connection. So that's why I feel like people are also iffy about him sometimes. Whereas I can think of when Bo Horvat got named captain, a lot of people were very excited because he was also kind of raised through the Canucks organization, and now he's not. But like he was handpicked by the Sedins, and they let him go. I don't know, I'm still salty, but like also there's a lot of salt going on because it's Vancouver, and of course there is.
You're salty, but also be free, King.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
also be free with an asterisk because you're going to play under Lou, but that's another
Oh,
story.
yeah. I feel bad. I feel bad that he has to shave like all the time.
But Anthony Beauvillier doesn't have to shave, so that's a win for
That's a
everybody.
win. That is a win. That is a win. Like a win is a win. But one thing I will also say about in the fact of in the yeah talk about players looking good, Andrei Svechnikov, the NHL official account, did him dirty.
What do
Did
they
you,
do?
you see what they tried? Okay, so they tried posting like videos of every player on the red carpet at the All-Star game, right? That's not my
Okay.
eyebrow. They tried posting like edits of that. We're like kind of a glam cam, but like lower budget because it's the NHL, obviously.
Okay.
Like they have that stuff on the salary cap too. But um not glam bot is what I meant.
Like
But
Glambot. Yeah, I know what
yeah,
you meant.
yeah, yeah.
You're good.
Like
You're good.
yeah, brain is not braining today. But they tried to do it with like all the players and stuff like that. They did with one with Elias Pettersson. He's just standing there with his arms crossed, but it's still he still makes it work because he's like in the off season, he's an Instagram model. Um,
Seriously.
like there was one guy I remember last season who was like, I better not see one Instagram post this summer from Elias Pettersson.
I need to know he's committed to hockey. Oh my
Yeah,
God, never
that's like
forget.
I
That's
that
so
tweet
good.
is so funny. It's still
It's
so
the same
funny.
thing. People used to get mad that Patrick Laine played video games in his spare time. They're like, if he actually cared about hockey, he would be getting better at defense. It's like, oh,
Okay,
oh.
okay. Dude, like you had Shifley on your team, bro. No offense to Mark Shifley. We have JT
Always
Miller.
offense
It's
to Mark
okay.
Scheifele. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay. Um, no, and then yeah, they did that with Andrei Svechnikov, who
hmm
at other points the Carolina Hurricanes will post pictures of him looking good. The NHL official account on TikTok posted an account. They completely made him look like a suburban dad. Like
That's
they
really
did.
not the vibe that he gives.
I
There are
know.
many NHL players who give suburban
I know.
dad, dad vibes. Holy Dinah. Not him though.
I know. It was so
Weird.
weird. It was
Yeah.
so weird. Like it just did not fit him. It just made it seem like super awkward. And I was like, they did him dirty with this. Um, I was gonna mention something else about Pedersen and Tweet playing video games all day. I remember on 32 Thoughts, Elias Pedersen during an interview on the All-Star break, he said that yeah, he plays video games like every day. And people were like, oh, I wonder what the veterans on the team. Who cares? He's the best player by far.
And I just think it's so funny. Like, I don't know, like say you work at Deloitte. I always go into like these random accounting examples just because I feel like I all I do is talk to accountants all day every day. But if you work at Deloitte and you're like maybe a little bit slower on Excel or like you're maybe you're younger, you're newer, just there's something you're not super good at when it comes to auditing. Like the company would look at that and address it and be like, all right, here's what we're gonna do. And it would all be on company time. They're not gonna be like actually Daniel, the accountant, you can't go home and make dinner and be with your family and enjoy your life. You actually have to dedicate all of your time. Like hockey is these people's jobs. Like if
Mhm.
Patrick Laine and Elias Pettersson want to go home and play video games, they are entitled to do that. Like they are off the clock. They don't have it written in their contracts that a term of their employment is that they have to be thinking of hockey all day, every day. They do what they have to do with practices, games, and whatever the team is expecting of them. But it's like that's and even like the veterans on the team, what do? They go home and they watch Coco Melon with their kids. Like they're not, sitting outside and practicing their slap shot or whatever. Like they're allowed to do this stuff. Like people are
Mhm.
so quick to like judge what these people do when hockey is literally just like their job. It's their job, just like my job is to do this and your job is to do that. Like don't just stay
Yeah.
humble out there.
And
Like
then it's the same argument of like, oh, why don't they show personality? But then they're still like hating on them for having hobbies. Or like the whole
exactly.
the whole Johnny Gaudreau thing. Like
Oh
Johnny
my
Gaudreau
god.
wanted to tweet
Yeah.
about how like he wanted to say like go Eagles or whatever.
Well,
And
it was a bad call. There was a really bad call in that game, and he tweeted
okay.
about it just like everyone else tweeted about that stupid holding call. And it was, yeah. Anyways, yeah, no, I totally agree with you. And it's the kind of thing, especially the video game thing, because that's a whole new market that you could tap into by getting like video games. The only reason I ever downloaded Twitch and made a Twitch account was to watch Mark Scheifele play NHL. Like that whole like there's so much potential there as well if you want to go the marketing route or if you want to go like there's something there. Like I don't know why people are just like if it's not the conventional hockey this that whatever dirt on your rub some dirt in it. I'm can't even think of what I'm trying to say right now. It people like are turned away from it. It's like no, elevate it, bro. There's something to be done there.
Yeah, like the Canucks organization also owns like two esports teams. Um, fun fact.
That's actually
But
really
they,
cool.
yeah, one is in Vancouver, one is in Seattle. I think one is Overwatch and one's another sport, but I don't remember the other sport.
Cool.
Sport.
That's really
Game.
awesome.
Game. It's a game. It's a video game. But
It's an
uh
esport. It's esports.
yeah, kind of. But then they tried to do a collab with Connor Garland last year, like in the off season, and they had him playing video games, and then we got like funny clips of him saying "suck it" to like an opponent, and now it like circulates Canucks Twitter sometimes. But yeah, like the untapped market of uh hockey players playing video games. Like it doesn't even have to be hockey, like hockey video games. I would watch hours upon
Totally.
hours of Elias Pettersson playing Fortnite, like
No,
honestly.
literally. I would log like I think I used to play Just Dance when I'd go to my friends' houses. Like no video game consoles in my home. Like that is
Mhm.
not how we roll like at my house. Like it's very much an area of weakness for me. I know nothing about video games, but yeah, I would watch Patrick Laine play Fortnite. Absolutely, I would. I don't even know what Fortnite is. I just remember the dances were trending when my brother was like 13. That like so yeah, it's definitely an area where it's like again, why not look into it a little bit more and actually do something with it because there is potential there to go and grow and expand your market beyond that current small portion that it is right now. Like growing up, I grew up in rural Manitoba, so it's like it's a little bit different. But like now that I go to school in the city and stuff like that, I thought that everyone grew up as a hockey fan because that's just kind of what we did out here, the country hicks and whatnot. But it's like even in the city of Winnipeg, there are lots of people who don't give a crap about the Winnipeg Jets, and it's like there is so much market that you haven't gotten into yet. Like in Canada, in each city, in the world in general, all these Eastern or like these European countries where a lot of these players come from, like there is room to get more people engaged in your sport. There is so much there. You just need to actually put in the effort to do it and be comfortable with going beyond your traditional channels of accessing people because that's what you have to do. Those traditional channels aren't gaining any new audiences. They're just catering to your current one. So that's all you want to do and you're okay with zero growth in your sport, then that's fine. But that's not what they want to do. They want to grow the game, and that's not done by digital moving freaking board ads. Like my God, there are
Oh
better
my
ways to
God,
do
they're
it.
so terrible. They're so
But
terrible.
Kaya, they make the viewing experience better.
No,
Gary
they
said it
don't.
himself.
No, they don't. Why am I seeing an ad for a lower mainland based oil distributor? I don't even know what Lucas Oil is. I just keep seeing the ads. Why am I seeing that while I'm watching a Rangers game being played at Madison Square Garden? That makes no sense.
No, it's so ridiculous. Like it would be the kind of thing where it's like if you go out there and you're trying to be like, transparent or you're trying to really like commit and double down on your decision, you'd be like, no, it doesn't impact the viewing experience at all. saying that it makes it better is the most insane take that any person in the world could have. It bugs out all the time. All these things. Like you could be like, oh, the technology is so good, no one even notices, but it's all about the subliminal marketing of board ads in general. It's just expanding it. That okay, fine. That's not what he said. He's like, no, no, it makes the viewing experience better. I call bullshit, girl.
Yeah.
What? Come
Like,
on.
does Gary Bettman even watch hockey? Is my question.
He may not. He may
He,
not.
like, I think he watches. He'll be on the West Coast. He falls asleep during the 4 p.m. games. Like, um,
I mean, me and him both. So
oh yeah, no, same. But yeah, I think what kind of playing into new technology, digital board ads bad, but the whole animated game with the big city greens characters on that Disney is doing, I think that's a great idea personally.
it's brilliant.
But then again, you're tapping into a market of children, which can't spend money on your sport, which, consumerism. But if you tap into a market of young adults that may have extra spending money, um, point in hand, then you kind of could get more of an audience that way, but also gain revenue through that sort of segment. Like, I personally don't think the Arizona State University Coyotes deal isn't a bad thing. Like, I know people knock on it because it's like, why are the Coyotes playing in an freaking college arena? How is this happening? But then you think about the fact that you're giving more access to students on the campus that to hockey, especially to a market like Arizona, which isn't really huge. You kind of need as much exposure as you can get, and even if it's a small arena, you're getting more exposure by being on a college campus with, I'm going to assume, thousands of students.
Absolutely. And I'm okay with the outrage of fans being like, it's ridiculous that Atlanta and Winnipeg and Quebec lost their teams, and
Mm-hmm.
this was all happening in Arizona. And this is the solution that they've come up with when so many teams have been told that they need to keep their revenues at X. And there's no way that Arizona is making that revenue of X by having a 5,000 seat arena. I understand that outrage. That outrage is completely valid. However, the outrage of being like, oh, this sucks. Like, no one's going to enjoy this. No, 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 no. Like, I've been to a few NHL arenas, but only ones in Canada. And I've definitely, like you said, young adult with a little bit of extra spending money as I get, I'm almost done my degree. I'm going to start, traveling a bit more on my own and stuff like that. And a lot of my travel, I believe, is going to center around hockey because that's where my particular area of interest is. But you best believe that number one on my list of rinks to go to is that Arizona State University. Like, are
Yes.
you kidding me? Drinking with 5,000 19-year-olds or no, the states 21-year-olds
21, yeah.
and watching an NHL game from 7 rows up, and that loud, you're also contained, and they have these deals on beers, they have these freaking mullets that they bring out sometimes. Like,
That is
are you
awesome.
joking? That sounds amazing. And it's
Yeah.
the kind of thing where it's like right now at my school, if that were to be a thing that they have and it was like like a baseball game or something like that, and I knew that that's what the vibe was, like I would go. And I don't care about baseball. That's how they're getting these people. No one in Arizona cares about hockey. We know that. There are like 8 people who do, and one of them birthed Austin Matthews, and that's how you get people. Like, it's not a huge sport in that state, but that's how you get those people. You don't get it by going through these traditional marketing channels because it's Arizona. It's not rural Saskatchewan. It's a very
Mm-hmm.
different audience. And I think this is a great way to reach that on college campus, cheaper tickets, cheaper drinks. That's how you get people in. And if people are like, wow, this is actually crazy fun, because hockey is an extremely entertaining sport. Objectively, it's fast paced, it's crazy. Like, it's a good sport. You're going to convert some fans that way because people are going to go because that's what seems like the thing to do on campus. And they might actually develop an interest because you have a product. You just need to be able to get that product out there a little bit better.
Yeah, exactly. With the whole, like, the fact that you get a lot of younger fans too, they introduce their kids to it. Like, it snowballs eventually, right? Um, yeah. I know the Canucks have like a student rush package, so it's like last minute, super cheap tickets, anywhere in the arena, essentially. You get like a text for it, and basically just sorry, immediately sent to your phone. You get like the deal, whatever seat you want, kind of whatever's left. And like that kind of makes like the cheaper tickets make sense. I do understand the appeal of ASU. That is definitely one arena I want to go to, but I have to wait to turn 21, but I next season I want to do it. Yeah, it's certainly a better atmosphere. I've definitely seen it, especially with kind of, I don't want to say sports with cheaper tickets, but the MLS. I go to a lot of MLS games because in Vancouver we have the Whitecaps, and there's a lot of younger people there. Like I understand like families going and stuff like that, but people my age, there's a whole youth kind of section of the Southsiders, which are the crazy Whitecaps fans. But then I go to Canucks games and it's all like grown adults, like full frontal lobe, older than that, grown adults. And it's like because it's unaffordable to go to NHL games. Um, like especially in the city, especially in a like city.
No,
I'd say,
totally.
yeah, like I feel bad for the people that want to go to Leafs games because they're even more insane, and I think Canucks
Oh
tickets are
God,
insane.
yeah.
Yeah, like I went to Scotiabank and um my friend got the tickets and it was insane for a lower
No, I
bowl.
know.
It was
Oh, yeah, it's
crazy.
nuts.
It
Like
was crazy.
Raptors tickets are so bad too. Like just Toronto is, yeah. We could make
Toronto's
a whole 8-part series on Toronto and that would just
Toronto.
be giving the surface. But
Yeah.
no, I totally agree. And I think that that's a really smart like marketing tactic. Like the Winnipeg Jets just started this thing where it's like it was like student deals, whatever, on Tuesday games or whatever. Cause it's like I know why you're doing this. It's because Tuesday is an awful night of the week to be going out. So they're marketing this because they have, and it's not, it doesn't fit the bill. The other day, the Winnipeg Jets had a 9 p.m. start home game.
Hmm.
Don't know why there would
Yeah.
ever be a 9 p.m. start home game. And I was like, why on earth are you not turning this into a freaking party? Like, we have the Manitoba Moose to play
Yeah.
out of the
Yeah.
same arena as the Winnipeg Jets. And for those of you who are listening who don't know much about the city of Winnipeg, it is 700,000 people, okay? And the next closest city that has more than 100,000 people is not in our province. The next biggest city in the entire province of Manitoba is 70,000 people, I think, and it's 3 hours away. Okay. So you have a city of 700,000 people with an NHL team, and you're pulling from nowhere. That's it. That's all you're getting. You're getting the odd small town of 400 people, like where I live, that's within commuting distance. That's all you're getting. It's a ridiculously small market. So they have the Winnipeg Jets and the Manitoba Moose. So rightfully, they've made the Manitoba Moose games entirely family oriented. It's all for kids.
Hmm.
Bring your children's hockey team, bring your school group, bring whatever. That's exactly what they should be doing. But then they also try and go like there is definitely still some like family oriented marketing at that 9 p.m. Saturday game. And it's like, I understand that you have contracts and you're liable under these things, but you got to do a better job because that's a game that a bunch of my friends who aren't hockey fans, if they knew that that was what the vibe was, 100% we would have gone. Like it's, I don't understand why there isn't more of that Taylor. And don't be scared of teenagers and being a little bit rowdy. Like embrace it because they're gonna
Hmm.
do it. Why not get their money from doing it? Like, I don't know. I think that there's more to be done there. I didn't know that Vancouver did that rush ticket thing though. That's brilliant. My friends and I will do that occasionally. We'll just be like, oh, Moose tickets are down to $10 and the
Yeah.
game's about to, you guys want to go? And we're like, sure. And we'll do that. And same thing with our WHL team, like the Winnipeg Ice, we do that all the
Hmm.
time. We're like, oh, tickets are cheap because they also play on the University of Manitoba campus. So it's close by.
Oh.
A lot of us are in the
Hmm.
area. So it's like, okay, we'll just go to an ice game. And it's the kind of the thing to do. So yeah, like I don't understand why there isn't more of that specific tailored marketing to those different age groups.
Yeah. Especially with kind of yeah, the younger crowd, like you said, it kind of like is a party atmosphere. There's a whole at Vancouver Warriors games, like the lacrosse team that Vancouver Warriors? I believe that's the team.
I know zero things about lacrosse. You could say anything right now
I
and it'd be like, yeah,
believe
sounds
it's the
good.
Warriors. I'm going to double check because I feel like if I say that and it's not the Vancouver Warriors, it is the Vancouver Warriors. I follow them on Twitter. I should know this. Um, no, they're the lacrosse team that plays out of Rogers Arena as well, shared with the Canucks. And lacrosse isn't as big of a sport as the NHL. Like the NLL is not as big as the NHL, especially in Canada. And but I feel like they're aware of that. So they have a specific like they have a beer garden during games. Or I don't know if it was a specific game, but they have specific like college nights. I know the Abbotsford Canucks had a college night. The Vancouver Canucks do not do that. They need in order to get the kind of younger generation especially like personally, I kind of lost touch with hockey when I was in high school and I got kind of caught up with all that stuff. And then I got back into it when I graduated and like had free time again. But if you get, yeah, college students, cheap tickets. If you're marketing it as a party and you want hockey to be fun, because hockey is objectively, it's a fun sport. It should be fun. It should be fun to watch. It's a high, like you said, fast pace, all that kind of stuff. But then you're marketing it as like this family fun time. And yeah, you're starting games at 9 p.m. That makes absolutely no sense. I get it, like the early start games, like we
Yeah,
don't
like a
have,
2 p.m. game, making it
yeah.
family centered, go for it.
Mhm.
Like, absolutely. But
Yeah,
it's like no one's bringing in their 8 year old to a 9 p.m. start game. Like, that's not
exactly.
really happening. So, why not? And I feel like teams get worried that they're going to upset their regular season seat holders, those, 6-figure businessmen who like hockey and
Hmm.
like to go and they go. But it's like the kind of thing where it's like, those guys, like if they don't go to a game, if they sell that ticket or if they just don't go, that's fine. And also, like they could go and enjoy themselves too. Like it's not like you're making it exclusive. It's just trying to make it more appetizing to one particular group or whatever. It's not like no one else can go if they want to, but just like a lot of parents might be like, I'd rather not bring my kid to this college focus game or whatever. But like, yeah, grown adults can still go if they want to go. They're entitled to their tickets, they're entitled to be there, but that's if you cater to the exact same population every single year, I'm sorry, but no one's going to want to go to the exact same NHL game 41 times a year every single year. It's just not happening. Even those of us who are the biggest hockey fans, like sometimes just the trip out isn't worth it. You can watch it and get the better angles from the comfort of your couch. If you're going to the game, it's for the experience. It's not to be analytic. Like I'm not sitting in the 100 section to be like, oh, like I can tell by the way that this line's chemistry is going up that their expected goals are going to be pretty high today and their line matching. No, that's not what I'm doing when I go there. I'll do that at home, but when I'm going there, I'm like, oh my gosh, the board's just rattled. Oh my gosh, this beer was only $7. Like like that's why you're going to the games. Like it's not. It's a different type of thing. So if you're catering to the same type of people all the time, I think that people like they got to do better. They just got to do better.
They gotta do better. Yeah. Like I know it's a big argument in Toronto, and also in Toronto it's mentioned a lot because of, how big the market in Toronto is. But also in Vancouver it's mentioned a bit too, is like the suits conversation about the 100 section. Specifically in Rogers Arena, there's like a club section that has cup holders. So they're like the fancy ones, and they're like blocked
Mm.
off on the concourse. It's
Yeah,
so dumb.
okay.
But yeah, so kind of just that it feeds into the gatekeepiness of the old boys club of hockey, um, essentially, and the kind of exclusivity, the economic barriers, I'd say, because if you're not allowing certain people into the games, what does that say about your sport? What does that say about um like personally, I only went to before last year, I had only gone to two Canucks games in my entire life. And my first one was like when they were still good. So it was like my ninth birthday, we beat the Flames or something like that. Yeah, it was like I went to two games my entire life. Like it was a trip that we got to go see the Canucks. Like it was a huge deal. It was a huge deal as a kid. And then it still should be a huge deal rather than someone just kind of like, oh, I don't know about this atmosphere, it's too loud. Or did you ever hear that story about somebody was trying to read a book and got mad about the arena being loud?
That's like a freaking Wattpad moment. Are you kidding
I
me? What do you
know. I
mean?
know. Like there was in Vancouver we have the group the Larshiders, and so they try and create more of a European hockey atmosphere where it's like flags, banners, they're cheering throughout the game. They started, I'm pretty sure they're the ones who started the Bruce There It Is thing. Um
That's awesome. I love it.
yeah, I'm not 100% sure. Can't fact check that, but they were at one of the games I was at last year and it was insane. Um but yeah, kind of people were complaining about that atmosphere, and I'm like, no, that's what you need to keep the game interesting, especially if you're watching the Vancouver Canucks of 21, 22. They were terrible. We lost that game to the Senators in a shootout where Adam Gaudette had the winning goal. It was terrible. So
That's
you need,
exactly it.
yeah.
Yeah. When your on ice product, especially, is not ideal, like there's got to be more there. Cause it's like, yeah, that's the one thing that you're never going to be able to guarantee is that you're going to win a hockey game or that the hockey game is going to be interesting, even. So there's got to be more of that experience piece that you can control with what's available and what the amenities are. Because, yeah, like there'll be the odd time, and like that's been the whole Winnipeg Jets thing, right? And I think there are a lot of teams. The Minnesota Wild can probably be lumped into this category. The Columbus Blue Jackets could, maybe until a few years ago. Nashville Predators are bad for this too, where it's like they've been okay for quite a long time. They've had good seasons, they've had bad seasons, but they haven't had those really big stretches like some of the Vancouver Canucks of really good for a long time and then really
Hmm.
bad for a long time. And really bad for a long time can be hard, but someone like the Ottawa Senators, really bad, but every night, at least for the last couple of years, you're watching the 2015 first rounder Thomas Chabot, and you're like, I'm excited to see what this guy can do for our future. You're watching Josh Norris, and you're like, I'm excited about the future. Timmy Stützle, you're watching, you're excited about the future, and that's fun. That's great. That's how, if your team is bad, fans should be excited in some capacity. Either they're excited because their team is winning, or they're excited about the future because they're watching their young stars get to try things out and whatnot. But like, you never know game in, game out if it's going to be exciting or not. So as soon as a game is like a little bit of a stinker, if that completely spoils every single person in that rink's evening, that's how you know you're doing it wrong. There will be the people like, my dad. My dad has a bad time at a Jets game if the Jets play poorly. I'm the same way. It's like just kind of the nature of what kind of hockey fan you are if you're very invested in the team in that way. But if every single person walks out and they're like, I didn't get to see a win and I didn't have fun, that's a huge issue. That's a massive, massive problem. And that happens when the Arizona Coyotes beat the Winnipeg Jets 1-0 in overtime. That's what kind of game that is. Like,
Hmm.
no one's enjoying that evening because the in-game experience isn't enough and it isn't tailored enough to whoever is attending. So it's not sustainable. And there's a reason why this is these last couple of years, obviously COVID has been rough, but a lot of teams have struggled with attendance is because every other industry and so many other things are doing a better job of that consumer engagement, and NHL just seems to be a step behind in a lot of areas.
Yeah. I feel bad bringing this back to other leagues, but if I compare it to other Vancouver-based teams, the Vancouver Whitecaps and BC Lions, the Vancouver Whitecaps haven't really had, they don't have great attendance. They've had some good attendance in the last few years. Well, the last year or so, they had a huge match against Toronto. It was insane. I was there. I got COVID after it, but it was a fun
Worth
game.
it.
It was worth it. Yeah, we won, but we won in penalties. It was actually crazy. And the BC Lions in the CFL, they both give away like free stuff to like the first 5,000 people or something like that enter BC Place, which I think is a really good incentive for people to come because who doesn't love a free bucket hat? I don't know where my Whitecaps bucket hat is, but I do have one. And like the
Yeah,
Lions were like they had the playoff towels, they had which was like our thing anyway. They had playoff towels, they had bells, like it had cowbells one
totally.
game. Like I think that's and it was like
The
regular
Manitoba
season
Moose,
games too.
yeah, do some of that too. And it's like, why don't the Jets even do that? Yeah, Moose did bucket hats and it was the best thing ever. And like, I know people who went to the game just to get that free bucket
Oh
hat.
yeah.
Like, it's the kind of, it's like, why aren't the Winnipeg Jets doing this? Also, I'm just curious because BC Lions, Winnipeg Blue Bombers, they are very, very, so the Bombers play on the University of Manitoba campus. And that is Friday, Saturday night. That is where everyone is. Everyone goes to the Bomber game. There's a thing called the Rum Hut where everyone is partying and everyone goes out afterwards. They have school buses that bring people. Winnipeg
That
Blue
sounds
Bomber games
awesome.
are like they are always sold out. They are always so fun. Yes, the product is great. The Bombers have been great for a while, but
Mhm.
it is a very, very tailored specific to a younger adult audience, and it's worked out fantastically.
Yeah, it is definitely different. I know the BC Lions have like a specific area that's just for people that's 19 plus and it's like where you can drink what you want, stuff like that. But I feel like
Cool.
it's so weird where the location is for
Mm,
the sports teams here. Because like you say, they play on the University of Manitoba campus. We have like our two biggest schools are UBC and SFU. UBC is they're both kind of inaccessible because UBC is like right on the coast and they're on like a whole different section, I think, of Vancouver. So they have to like cross a bridge or like take a bus and then take the Canada line across to like the BC Place or to Rogers Arena. And same thing with SFU, you have to take like three buses, I think. I tried to map it out once because that's where I go. I tried to map it out once how to get from SFU to Rogers Arena. I was like, there's no way. Like it's difficult getting there by transit and it's hard to find parking, especially and also if you're drinking because you're young, you can do that. Face minimal consequences. Yeah. Like it's definitely difficult for college students to A, get down there and B, have fun
it's like, man, oh
sometimes.
man, like you're shooting yourself in the foot. Like, yeah, things are already hard enough for people. Like, if there's no reason for them to want to come. Like, man, oh man, like you're not making this any better out here.
Yeah, and like the other night I was at the Canucks Rangers game and I went for the Rangers. I was going into that building hoping the Rangers would win, and they did. But that's not even for the tank. I wanted to see the Mika Zibanejad Chris Kreider hug at the end of it. Like that was all I wanted to see. But
Real.
um, I was in the 300 section. It was full. The 100s were like empty, and I was like, I don't like it's especially. It was a random
You
Wednesday
go
night.
to you purchase 300 tickets and don't go down to the 100 and steal seats. Wow, damn, could not be me.
I haven't done that. I
Do
got
it.
it.
It's easy.
It's easy. Yeah. I got a ticket once in the 300 section, but I was sitting away from the people I was with for some reason.
Mm,
So, but then I moved down there after. But
totally.
yeah, I checked Ticketmaster first. I checked there first. But yeah, it's such a depressing atmosphere sometimes.
Hmm.
Like a bland Wednesday night. Of course it's raining. It was terrible.
Raining in Vancouver?
Oh my
Color me
gosh.
shocked.
I know. But yeah, like you kind of said at the top of the show, hockey isn't something that a lot of people also grow up with. Personally, I felt like I was in the minority kind of growing up with it because it was talked about, but it's not a huge, maybe it is in like other areas of the Lower Mainland, but like where I'm from, it's like a lot of people are probably more know more about the Raptors, Blue Jays than they know about even the Canucks. So,
I feel like it's a very rural Canadian sport, like the
mhm.
pond hockey and all this kind of stuff. Like I feel like a lot of people who live outside of the city, like I don't feel like it's a very urban thing at all. And if you're like rural, like whatever, like that's almost like a dying population at this point. Like you got to go urban. You got to look at
Mhm.
where business is booming, and it's not in the towns of 300 people. Like
That's
and those
yeah.
towns are only booming because people are moving to them and like from the city. Like it's city. You got to look at the city, man.
Yeah. That's why I kind of think of um programs like Hometown Hockey or that like I get it, it's a good story, but do you need to spend the entire day there?
Yeah, and the thing that's the hometown hockey again, you like you said, it's cute, but it's like you are generating next to nothing of newness, in my opinion, from that. I don't know how much, like, if they were to come out, like, yeah, like I know a couple of towns in Manitoba that have bidded for it in the past and stuff like that. Like, anyone who would go to that is a hockey fan already. So it's like
Mhm.
I don't know. It's fun for them and maybe it's a retention strategy to try and make sure that these people stay engaged in hockey because they feel like it's a more intimate experience with the sport or whatever. I don't know, but it's definitely not an attraction strategy in my opinion. You're getting pretty similar people that actually care about it. A lot of people it just means nothing to them.
Yeah, you're not exactly attracting a new audience
No.
at all. Like at all. Just before we go, I just wanted to touch on the All-Star game. Um, and how even players don't want to go. Thank you, Brad Marchand, for confirming that today. Or was that yesterday?
I don't know. Did he say that?
It
That's
was
really
today.
funny.
It was today. Yeah, he tweeted he commented on an Instagram post saying, "Oh, no one would about like speculating about 2025 locations." He's
Okay.
like he commented saying no one would want to go anyway. Somebody posted that tweet. He quote retweeted saying, "I mean it's true." And Brad Marchand's on another heater as always, but yeah, I just want to know
Remember that
what.
time he murdered our boss on Twitter?
And it was while recording a podcast. I listened to that episode just to hear Adam Wilde say, "Don't look at your phone, Steve." And then for like half an hour, just you have the suspense because you know, but he doesn't know.
Everyone knows. That's
Everyone
so
knows. It
funny.
was so funny.
Anyways,
Um,
but yes, Brad Marchand, classic. Shut your
Classic.
pie hole, Craig. Never forget.
What did I just want to what did you think about the format, specifically not really the game itself, but the skills competition? I wasn't able to watch it live, but from what I was able to see, it was kind of confusing how it kept flipping back and forth.
Yeah, like I did not watch a single part of the All-Star weekend. I don't even remember where I was. I was busy somewhere doing a thing. I don't know. I had something the Friday night and the Saturday all day. I had like a
Mhm.
case competition at school or something like that. So I was busy, but I sort of watched some parts back and I heard about it. And I think the thing that just drives me the craziest is that It's an all-star game. You're pulling what the point of this is to get all of the best people in the league together
Mm-hmm.
at the same time. Firstly, making it a participation trophy where every team has to send one person is stupid. That's not
Mm-hmm.
an all-star game. That's a
Yep.
randomly selected people game.
Yep.
Similarly, when you say, hey, fan vote, and you know very clearly that the fan vote may be swayed, but did not determine the decision to bring in extra players like they said it would, also a lot like a load of crap to me. And then lastly, it's, you have the fastest skaters in the world, you have the best shooters in the world, and you put them in these joke competitions that it's really not a way to see that those are the best skills that they have. You put them in a game where the game means nothing and all these guys want to do is just not get hurt. It's not an all-star game. Like you could put a 3-on-3 of a couple of guys from Div 3 US hockey playing like at their like a solid 3-on-3 tournament, it would be a similar caliber. You aren't seeing the all-stars at an all-star game, which is what they're trying to promote. They're lying to you by saying that this is what they're doing. So that's the thing that's just the craziest to me because I'm sorry, but I don't care to see some random guy from the Minnesota Wild that you randomly chose at this game. I've been so mean to Minnesota today. Let me pick a different team. I don't care to see Clayton Keller, a perennial all-star,
Oh
because
my
he's the only
gosh.
good player on the Arizona Coyotes, go in and do some strange dipsy doodle shootout on a goalie who's not even paying attention to what's going on. What value am I gaining from that? So that's why they need to play into either making this an actual thing where it's like say each team gets to send their three best player like or five best players. It's a 3-on-3 tournament style, and you do it on like Lake Tahoe or something, and it's just the Central Division, and that's how you find out like where they seed in the playoffs or some shit like that, like something like that where people actually care. Or you make it entirely a fun weekend. You bring back the draft where Alexander Ovechkin gets drunk and tries to win a car. You bring back all these things that are actually about the players' personalities instead of trying to make it like a mid off between a little bit of fun, a little bit of skill when no one enjoys any of it because it's not well orchestrated. That's my long winded rant. I have many more things I could probably say about the All Star game if I thought about it a bit more, but that's kind of my first. It's not concrete enough of a direction to make it an entertaining product.
Yeah, to quote Alan Walsh, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Um, yeah, it's kind of just been the same over the last few years. Just the confusing formats, the kind of half-assedness of not caring and kind of care. Like, I think the fun weekend aspect, I personally, my favorite All-Star was like the Sedins getting drafted on different teams was one of my favorites. Because that was like the only time they ever played on different teams. Like my sister was asking me the other day, did they ever play on like separate teams like at all? And I was like, nope, never, except for that one All-Star game. Like that's how you remember it. No one's gonna remember Alex Pietrangelo bringing out the freaking Vegas Golden Knights marching band, not scoring, and then winning the competition over Trevor Zegras, who was backwards and blindfolded, and Jack Hughes, which brought out a tiny child, which was supposed to be mini Jack Hughes. And I guess like some of it kind of plays into outdated references, because if they also try and claim, oh, the All-Star game's for the kids, but then why is Mitch Marner, no offense to Mitch Marner, why is he dressed up as Miami Vice? I don't think that show has been on in the last 30 years at least. So why are you marketing to kids when their parents probably don't even recognize the show? And same thing, what was the other reference? It was Happy Gilmore? Was that was
Yeah,
Parks
yeah, there's a
Redacted?
Happy Gilmore thing. And again, that was whatever. It was the actual interaction from Adam Sandler that made that anything. If that didn't get an Adam Sandler reaction, it would have been whatever. It's just kind of on its own. Like Happy Gilmore, like I like that movie. I've seen it a couple times, I guess, but like it's not yeah,
It's
because
not
my parents watched
memorable.
that. Not
Like,
no. So who are you marketing to and what are you marketing? Both of
mhm.
those things are very confusing in the All-Star game. It's like that should not be a question when you have this product. Like you people should be very clearly knowing who you're marketing to and what the product is. Is it an All-Star game? Are we seeing the best of the best do their best on the best stage in the world? Or is it a fun weekend for everyone's favorite NHL players to get together and create some social media content or something? Like
Yeah. I
I'm not saying
think,
there's a right answer at either of those things,
yeah.
but
Like, I do think skills are important, but at the same time, I think they
then
should
make them
have.
actually do the skill. Like, what
I
was
know.
that?
Or
And also
like,
just like the slowness between like people were seeming like really confused and like moving from event to event. There was a lot of
mhm,
like dead space. It's like,
what is
God,
happening? When Mitch Marner and PK Subban just kept repeating the same words over and over again to each other, I was like, someone missed a cue. I hated that. Um, yeah, that was like right before my power went out, so that was the last thing I saw for like 3 hours, and I was like, okay, good. Yeah,
didn't
it's
miss
just
much.
it didn't miss much. No, yeah. Like I feel like the last good reference, I guess, was Alex DeBrincat last year with The Hangover, and kind of funny. I don't know. I like that
Don't even
movie.
remember it.
Really,
Don't even know what you're talking
he
about.
came out dressed up as like one of the characters in The Hangover, but
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
wasn't the best of the last year's kind of
But
shootout
then
thing.
again, it's a shootout challenge. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, make it funniest shot, not how many they score. Because if it's how
Mhm.
many they score that wins, but you're also trying to make it about how funny, like it's such a weird
It's
disconnect. I don't get it.
there's no definition for it.
No.
And then same thing with like the whole like the tendy tandem thing where like, oh, the goalie should try and score a goal. I kind of understood that, but then you're also having like people they're also having other people, like actual players, try and score on a different goalie. I that was a confusing format. And then the one player that actually gave a shit was Sarah Nurse, um, who arguably is better than some of the players that were called all-stars. Um, like why was Seth Jones there? Um, I'd say why is Seth Jones there, but then again, who else does Chicago really have?
Again, participation trophy. There's no need for that. Guess what? In this year, no one from the Chicago Blackhawks deserves to go to the All-Star game. I'm pretty sure everyone can agree on that. And
Yeah.
also, Sarah Nurse, I need to shout out Hillary Knight. That was so funny when
Oh,
in the post game, it's like, oh, how does
yeah.
it feel to score on one of the best goalies in the world? It's like, okay, well, she's one of the best goal scorers in the world,
She's an
which is
elite
so true
scorer.
because it's like you don't sit down in a post game interview with like when Kevin Stenlund, the fourth line center of the Winnipeg Jets, scores against whoever. It's like, wow, how does it feel to score against the best goalie in the world?
No
That you don't
one's,
ask them that. No
yeah,
one's asking them that because it's just a goal was scored and that is what it is. Like
literally.
leave women's hockey players alone. My God, they don't owe you
I
their
know.
weird responses to these questions.
They deserve better. And then everyone's just like, oh, they wouldn't survive in the NHL. Dude, they're better than half the players that are on the ice right now. I would rather have Sarah Nurse on my NHL team than most of the players at the All-Star game, including Connor McDavid, but that's another story. But yeah. Anyway, I think All-Star Rants is a good place to end the show today. So thank you very much for joining me on Growing the Game. Would you like to promote, your various social media platforms? Follow Can't Teach Size on TikTok.
Yes, yeah, that that would be the one. And also, definitely check out Game Over Winnipeg too. Like as many of you probably know, that's where Kaja and I know each other from. We both do our respective cities game overs after every Winnipeg Jets game. I do mine with my co-host Brady, and it's a lot of fun. My favorite part about doing that show is just the ability to connect with a lot of different guests. So it's definitely a really fun show. And if you guys are similar to me, I really like when the Winnipeg Jets play against another team, which they do, every time they step on the ice. I love listening to the broadcast or the post game shows from the other team just to see what people are interested in about my team and what they think of my team and all those kinds of things. So definitely check out Game Over Winnipeg, especially when they're playing your team of choice. We put on a good show. It's a lot of fun. And yeah, Can't Teach Size on TikTok. I mess around on there a lot. It's a lot of fun. And similarly to Kaya, all about growing the game, right? Trying to lower that barrier of entry to fandom and sports. So we have a lot of fun on there. I'm always looking for new content to make and new people to engage with and that kind of stuff. So if you're listening to this show, you're definitely on the right track on either becoming a hockey fan yourself or looking to be more welcoming to others trying to become a hockey fan and be more interested in hockey. So keep that up and check out creators like Kaya and myself who are all about that too. There are a lot of us out there who are pretty passionate about it.
Very
Oh,
true.
and I'm on Twitter at
Oh yeah.
LYSSHOUDE, Lyss Houde. That's where most of my stuff is. So you can find me on Twitter. Forgot
Yes,
about
yes.
that.
Twitter, yeah. Well, if it still exists by the time.
Oh yeah, right. I gotta go and remove my freaking two-factor authentication right away. Or
Oh
else
my
I'll get
gosh.
logged out of my account or something. I don't know.
Is that a thing that's happening?
Yeah, you have to delete if you don't subscribe to Twitter Blue, you can't have two-factor authentication anymore.
Oh my gosh.
Or
I
else your
don't
account will get suspended.
Oh wow, I love Twitter. I love Twitter. It's so great. Yeah, like you said, kind of the short form of, including everyone, no gaslight, no gatekeep, just girl boss.
Exactly. All about the girl
Exactly.
boss.
All about the girl boss. All right. Thank you very much for joining me. And yes, follow Alyssa on everything. And that is it for today's discussion about growing the game, but especially for the younger generations. Your obscure fact of the day: before 1914, hockey referees would place the puck in between the two players facing off, instead of dropping it, as they do now. This was changed after, obviously, a multitude of injuries. Thank you for watching and or listening to the show. You can find us on Twitter at GTGPod, and you can find me personally at RealKayame. Hope you enjoyed, stay safe, and see you again in 2 weeks. Bye, everyone!